So this week we'll be speaking about business in Latin America from a variety of different perspectives. Today's topic of conversation will be entrepreneurship. First, we'll discuss Brazil in general terms. We'll tour around Brazil a little bit.
This is the public market of Florianopolis. Here is a little farmer's market. There's so much that I love about this country and so much that I don't like as well, but more than I love. And I love the diversity of the people and the diversity of the landscapes. This is the cathedral. And I'm going to try to show you a view. I don't know if you can see the hill in the background behind those buildings. This is a slum. Shanty towns in Brazil are built up on the hills. That's where the land has no ownership, no like legal ownership, and it's super steep. And people, they build there illegally because they have no means to support themselves. Mm-hmm. And these are the famous favelas of Brazil.
And Brazil is the fifth biggest country in the world. The Amazon rainforest is a very large part of it. This is one of the most spectacular waterfalls in the world, Iguaçu Falls.
It's a famous destination for New Year's Eve.
This is the main cathedral in Sao Paolo. This is a state park near Rio de Janeiro. This is a Serra de Tiririca State Park. Carnival is one of the biggest events of the year in the whole world, I think, in terms of tourism. Christ the Redeemer statue. This is a football museum. Copacabana Beach, probably the most famous beach in Rio de Janeiro. It's a huge country, right? So there's all different types of ecosystems, from rainforest to desert, tropical beaches, and everything in between.
A simple and more direct way to explain social entrepreneurship is when an entrepreneur starts a business or an NGO to actually solve a challenge in his or her community. It could be a social challenge, an environmental challenge. In Backup Sao Paulo, we are also building a community of entrepreneurs committed with these values, committing with solving social and environmental challenges. I come from a business background, so I worked in mergers and acquisitions and at banks, and I didn't feel right when I was like working fancy neighborhood in Sao Paulo, and at the same time on Sundays I would do volunteer work in the favelas, and I was like, there's something wrong here. We should connect all this somehow. And that's how we started Impact Hub in Sao Paulo. So there was London and Sao Paulo, and then other people from other places wanted to start these communities of entrepreneurs with the same values. One social entrepreneur that we supported works with microcredit. The name of the company is Avante. Basically, what they found out is that for poor people, mostly in the favelas, it's quite hard to access credit, even though they're quite committed to pay it back. So he created a company. You have like lots of this all around the world. So we have Muhammad Yunus from Bangladesh creating the Bank of the Poor, and it's quite popular. But what he did different here, he used a lot of technology. So he can actually lower the costs of giving credit, and works in partnership with local NGOs in these favelas. Mm-hmm. So he has been growing quite fast and accessing a lot of investments here in Brazil from funds from outside, as well as the impact investing. So this idea of investing, also asking for return in social and environmental issues. It's quite appealing for them to invest in such a venture. Yeah, so Manaus is kind of the main spot now, as Amazon becoming more and more important worldwide. So there is some interesting initiatives. One of them, it's a coffee, like Isabella was showing. So a coffee that they grow, they call agroecological plantations. Starting from the challenges, I think there are many common challenges for starting a business everywhere. But when I see the Impact Hub, I think two things that really call my attention. One is the access to funding. So in Brazil, historically, we have had like in countries in like in US or in Europe, you had 2% a year, 3% a year as a reference. Today it's almost zero everywhere, but it's like used to be 2-3%. at that time here was like 15-16% the cost of money. When you started a business, you had to be really efficient, because you had to pay back at least 15-16%. That was the cost of money with no risk. So that was really challenging, and that has been changing. So currently we have a 2.5% cost of money a year was what the national bonds are paying. So it got better. We used to have a joke at the university, like the best business in Brazil was a bank, and the second best business was a bank with a bad administration, because it was so protected and so easy to make money. And it's considerably different than elsewhere. So I think that was something particular, but I see us evolving in that direction.